Good afternoon. This is Brian Palma. Um, this video is kind of important for me, at least, because mainly this year I learned a lot of stuff that kind of changed my perspective as to business was, and it was one of the most stressful and tiring years of my life. It was a lot of hard learned lessons that I learned by fucking up, if I'm being real with you. It's not maybe like a fun video or anything like that, but I just want to say that when you take a look at this, it's mainly been throughout my whole journey of entrepreneurship, all the lessons that I had to learn to give me a better perspective on what business actually was. Because when I first started, I didn't know anything. I was just a mechanical engineering college student. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Ended up just committing and trying to figure it out. But it was really challenging. But I hope that with each one of these lessons, that's something that you've actually lived through as well, and you can relate. And maybe there's a couple of things that you maybe didn't think of before. So I just wish that with this video you can actually take a look at it, see a little bit as to the real thing when it comes to actually going through the hard stuff, not posting the videos of like amazing journey, because it sucked ass. It really did. But yeah, let's get to it. So one of the first lessons I learned was that starting a business is harder if you don't have any skills. Before doing door-to-door sales, I tried to start a business, an online business, with no previous concept of business, of how it works. This led me to not letting people know about my stuff, which left me to be stuck at a dead end. What I mean, not letting people know about my stuff, I mean sales. I didn't know how to communicate my message. I had no idea what I was doing, and for some reason I thought people would pay me $2,000 for something I had no idea would work. So when I first started, I had no clue. I just didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know sales, didn't know marketing, didn't know much about anything. So I kind of realized, and I heard a lot of insights, for example, for someone like Alex Ramosi or Thomas Gannett, and I realized that, oh shit, they're kind of right. You need skills to build a business, and maybe you'll learn the skills along the way. But essentially, since I didn't know how to sell, didn't know how to market, didn't know how to service people, didn't know how to customer service, I was like, what would be a better way to essentially get rid of my fear of talking to people? Because that's business. And I got a door-to-door sales job. I got a door-to-door sales job, and then essentially I thought I was going to be coached, but wasn't really coached that much. Most of the time I was just teaching myself what to do. And that brings to the next lesson, which is, in the beginning you will suck. It's a business lesson that I learned from Jacob Hopkins that completely kind of changed my perspective on starting a new skill or endeavor, because I did want to quit a lot of days, knocking from the morning up until at night, every day. No sales, almost every day at the beginning. And at the beginning of door-to-door, I sucked ass, like pretty bad. I wasn't really getting any appointments. I didn't know how to talk to people on the door, and but the more I did it, the better I became, and the easier it was for me to do it. So, like Alex Ramosi says, eventually you suck so little that you eventually become good. And that's what I'm trying to get at with cold calling. in door to door, I was a pretty good setter. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty good. And then, which brings me to the next lesson, which is volume negates luck. The more you do it, the luckier you become. The more you knock, call, or reach out, the more the likelihood of you getting to the desired results becomes ever more present. It's a numbers game. That's what sales is. And even if it's not perfect, the fact that you took the first step puts you ahead of most people who never even took the first step to begin with. Door-to-door sales, I knocked on a shit ton of doors, and I didn't get a bill, which I was selling solar. No bill. But the more I did it, I figured out how to get people's bills, and I started getting people's electric bills. But I didn't know how to qualify them for a sit down. So the more I did it, the more I actually learned how to qualify people in the door without having my closer seeing if it's a good fit or not. I could tell almost immediately if somebody was a good fit or not, and I wouldn't waste my closer's time like that. And so I did it like that, started getting good appointments, and then eventually once it started working, I got sales. And then the appointments would pile up because, well, you get a little bit better every day because you do it every day. It's a skill. I personally never thought I would be good at sales. Like, came from engineering, no clue what I was doing, didn't know how to talk to people, really shy person, and I just did it. And that's what comes to the next point, which is perfect practice makes perfect. After you did your big amount of volume, which is the first initial step, after you know that at the beginning you just need to do a shit ton, once you do a lot, you start realizing these little nitpicks that would happen, and you can start shifting accordingly to kind of fix what you've been doing wrong, because you need numbers to know what's going wrong. And once you figure out that maybe this person told me the same thing, this person told me the same thing, this person told me the same thing, I think something's wrong, you know? So after you did your big volume, start to talk about the big needle mover, which is perfect practice. You need to have intent with the stuff you're doing and be focused enough to see where you're lacking and actually fixing it. Like, the only way to get to this point is to do volume. Yeah, but once you figure out where you're going wrong, then start growing, and that's what you want. So, wait, that doesn't sound right. But once you figure out where you're going wrong, you start fixing, and then you start growing. And that's what we want, which is growth. But you gotta take a look at what you're doing wrong, and then be actually conscious as to what you're doing. Don't be like, if you're knocking doors, don't be looking at your phone. If you're cold calling, don't look at your phone. Just don't. Like, just focus for hours, and just keep doing it, and getting better and getting better. But it's all got to be intentional, focused effort. You cannot deviate from what you're doing if you want to get better at it. So that's the thing. And one of the key things that I really learned when it comes to door to door was mirroring people. So in the context of sales, so what does mirror people? What does that mean? So just bear with me. Like, if people are mean, be challenging. If they're hesitant, be encouraging. If people are in a hurry, be quick. If people are sweet, be nice. But you get the point. So by mirroring people, you come off as understanding of the situation that they're currently at, and you can use that to your advantage to get their attention, because they're doing whatever the heck they're doing. They just opened the door. They don't know you. They don't know anything about you. This is gonna be the first time that they're gonna be speaking with you. So what you want to do is you kind of have to adjust to what their current situation is. If you see an old lady who is just opening up the door and she sees me, a tall guy, I'm gonna have to speak with her like a little bit more sweet, like, hey miss, how you doing today? I'm just right here my name is Brian, I'm with this company. we're trying to reach out to people who had this program, something like that. Honestly, I forgot like the pitch for the door-to-door sales. I forgot, but essentially, you adjust to the current situation. You mirror what's happening. So if people are in a hurry, like you got a mom with like 3 kids screaming in the background, you're gonna be like, oh miss, I'll be quick, miss. So what we're trying to do, miss, right now is we're trying to reach out to all the people who have out the El Paso Electric as a utility. So what's happening right now is that they're putting these smart meters on the side of people's houses. Now, what do you think they're doing that? Or just trying to be quick with it? Or if somebody's like me, because I've seen people that look at me like I'm I don't know, like I'm gonna steal something from them, and I'm like, what you want? Hey, look, everything. What you got? And they're like, I'm just messing with you, man. So I'm working right now, man. So I'm trying to get everybody over here to change to clean renewable energy. So, or I don't know, something like that. But you gotta mirror the current situation. And even if I showed you, like I'm not as good as I was because I'm not doing it anymore. So is it gonna come a little bit of like weird? It will, but it's because I'm not doing it anymore. But when I did it, it just came off naturally. Just mirroring the current situation that people were doing. And most of the time I would catch their attention. And they would listen to me. I'd show them something. Like I still have a folder of everything that I showed them. But that's what I'm trying to get at with the next thing is that you show people. The next lesson. You show people, you don't tell them. Like people don't learn or listen when you tell them something. If they have no context of what you're saying. So having a visual aid, something to show that is simple, will make sense of what you're actually trying to tell them in their heads. And yes, like it says right there, yes, there will be times where you'll see people who know it all. But in general, showing people is 100 times better, as it will instill in their minds what you want to get across in your words. So when I did door-to-door sales, I didn't really have much. All I had was it was just me, my phone, and a folder that I designed on Canva. So I would just go out and pitch people, and I would show them letters of what was happening in the current utility. You can't see what's in this because, well, but it's like I'm just showing you what I mean. So I would just tell them some of the letters that I showed them. It's blurry as fuck. You can't really see it, but this eventually says what's happening in the city. What's happening with the current utility. I basically showed them the notice of what was being said, and then from there, I told them the news as to what actually happened. And in here is a news letter. And over here too. I'd tell them what would happen, and then from there I'd start telling them as to their rates, their electricity rates, and the electric bill that they're supposed to be having with solar panels. And then I just basically just show them a bunch of images to get them interested to like listen to me. Like I'd have a picture of like a house with solar panels, the new solar panels. I don't know if you can see them. Old solar versus new solar. The bottom one is the old solar. The top one is the new one. And I'd show these to people, and most of the time they would listen to me, and they would actually see what I was trying to say, because I would catch their attention. So just showing them something that they can actually see helped me a lot to get people's trust. And to actually get my point across as to what I was trying to say. Because when I said it, they didn't really believe me. I told them, there's going to be a newsletter that's going to come up in your mail about a smart meter. Most people thought it was like bullshitting. They thought it was bullshitting. But I showed them the letter. And then I had a lady call me once, hey Brian. I didn't come up, I just basically had to show up at the closing next week. I got in there, she's like, Brian, you were right. I got the letter. And then I heard another guy who I was gonna close, and he was like, yeah, I thought he was bullshitting, but I looked it up and it was true. So that kind of built the trust of what I was trying to build right there. But at the end of the day, you wanna show people what you mean. Like for example, for me with my marketing agency services, I show them an ad account that I'm gonna use. I show them high level. I show them what I'm using so that I can actually gain that trust to get them on my side. And I've learned how to get people to say yes to me by showing them what I'm trying to do, convey my ideas. And that's what sales taught me, which is how to get people to say yes to me by making things make sense. And that's what I meant with the next lesson, which is you gotta explain stuff at a third grade level. Like, don't use overcomplicated words that only a few people will understand. If you're selling a weight loss product to a mom who's got 3 kids and desperately needs help to lose weight, she's not going to care what scientific method was used to create your solution. She only cares about one thing and one thing only: the results, which is to lose weight. As long as that makes sense and she can understand how that works, great. Don't go into unnecessary details, just talk about what they want. In solar, I didn't go into the scientific method as to how panels worked. I didn't go about any of that stuff because they didn't care. But I just showed them the little math that made sense, and I explained to them in a really simple manner, and they were willing to actually give me a shot and sign documents. So just be clear and concise and to the point. You don't want to go into a tangent like I see a lot of people in, because people just don't give a shit. People don't care. They just want to know that it works, and they care about the results. And that's what I do with the marketing agency services. That's what I've done with tax services. Everything in a simple manner that makes sense, not making it overcomplicated and not talking more than I have to. Just what's necessary. And that's what's been helping me to get people to say yes to me. And it's been really helpful just to say it how it is. Don't overcomplicate it, and don't get nervous, because the more simple you make it for yourself, then it's going to be simple to explain it to other people. So just make it simple, don't make it complicated. The next lesson that I learned was ask questions in a consequential order. So in sales, your script needs to make sense in a flow it needs to make sense and flow in a consequential order. So every question has to be detailed into a specific path. Like, you're taking people through a journey, and you're their guide. So make it make sense, the questions, and have the questions reveal the stuff you want to know in depth, so you can use them as ammo to get them to the desired results. So if the questions don't make sense, they'll notice and they'll let you know. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, if you ask the wrong questions, you're gonna sound retarded, or you're just gonna sound like, where does that come from? Like, but once you fix it, you keep testing and testing until you get to your goal. So when I did door-to-door sales, I didn't really understand how to ask the right questions, and I didn't take them through a series of steps in the questions that I was asking them. But once I was able to piece everything together, first I say this, first I do this to talk about the roof, first I say this and that, I ask them for their bill, I ask them for an appointment, I bill report, I ask them again if they're going to be in the house. I had everything sequenced in the questions that I was asking, because I wanted to make sure that they actually remembered who they spoke to, which is me. What I had in my mind was that they're not speaking to a salesman. They're speaking to Brian Palma, the solar guy. And I wanted them to remember me by that. And the same thing with anything, tax services, it's with everything. Marketing agency services, it's the same thing. But it's all just have your questions in order and make it make sense, because if you don't, people will let you know, because it sounds off. It's just like, and they're gonna be like, the fuck, where did that come from? You know, it's gonna sound like weird, and they're gonna be skeptical about what you're trying to say. But you just gotta fix it. Next time you do it, write it down, fix it. And then the next point is that in order to get to that point of you just remembering your pitch, it's not pitch. I don't want to call it pitch, like a presentation mainly. Read it, write it, memorize it, speak it, repeat it. We don't remember everything we see. We also don't remember what most of what we say, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I forgot most of what I said right now. But if you repeat, and repeat, it eventually becomes part of you. And where you automatically say it like it was a reflex instead of you having to think about it. So when it comes to objections, I see a lot of people, I don't know how to handle objections, just write them down. Like, literally, like, when I did door-to-door sales, a lot of people had the same objections, so I just wrote them down, and I came up with the rebuttal, and I just wrote them down. I just repeated it. I forgot about them already, but back then, I remember all of them, and I knew what to say immediately. It didn't matter, because I already knew the answer. But when you do all 5, there comes a point where you just become unstoppable, since you know what you're talking about. And because you've had the conversation more times than other people. So it just becomes a consequential thing of just learning from your mistakes. The more you do it, the better you become, and the more natural it becomes. And then you start adding your sauce in it, and you don't have to even need the script anymore. That's what's really cool about it. And then the next thing is a mind shift. So a lot of people don't really understand what sales is. I didn't understand what sales is. I thought it was just like the fucking Wolf of Wall Street or something like that. But that's not what sales is. Sales is a transference of value over a bridge of trust. So what does that mean? In sales, it is important to understand that people buy because they see value. And if what you're offering is good and it'll help your customers in some way, all that is left now is for you help them make the decision by earning their trust. Not for bad purposes. I'm not saying to be ethically bad, but because you know you will put them in a better situation than they currently have before. If you're selling solar, all you gotta do is that if the person sees the value in the product, this is your prospect, this is you. If the person sees value in what you've got, what's happening is that you got to transfer this value over a bridge that you're going to have to build of trust. That is it. And once you build that bridge and you give them the value proposition, you make money because they need it. You know you're going to put them in a better position. If I'm selling tax relief, the same thing goes over here. I'm trying to get them to get out of their tax problems because they owe money. If I'm selling marketing agency services like a paid advertisements or a lead generation, I'm helping this clients get more leads through the door, more opportunities. And if they need help closing, I can build another thing of value, build that trust and get them to purchase, which is where I make money. That is what sales is. I didn't understand that, but now I know that sales is just you're helping somebody out make a decision that they can't make themselves, because sometimes people do need it. They just need the little push, little nibble to actually help them out. And once you're in that position, you can help a lot of people, man. Like, some people actually do need some of your services. So next point is that you must sell yourself to yourself. And Grant Cardone says this best. You need to understand your product and your customers better than they understand themselves. And if you have doubts about your product or company, you need to get rid of them immediately. Because if you don't, it'll plague itself in your commissions and the way that you speak to the customers. You must convince yourself to yourself before you sell something to somebody else. This takes time. It's going to take research. But the more you do it, the more questions you answer to yourself about your products. And the less questions you have about it, the more answers you have. The more you know about your products, the more you can serve the people you want to help. Be committed to you, your company, your product or service, because you are playing to win, not to lose. So when you can believe, something amazing does happen, where whatever you set your mind, you can accomplish. Because when you believe in your product so much that it comes to the point it's just like, what the, why? It comes to the point that you believe that, why are people not buying from me? This is an amazing product. They need this. They need me. You feel like a superhero because you're giving people a solution that they can't make themselves because they don't understand. So at the beginning when I started solar, I did not understand solar at all. I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand it. But guess what? I taught myself the math. I taught myself how to basically make it simple. Because once I understood it, I could make it simple for everybody else. And once I understood the numbers in solar, how they were installed, how the process was to getting solar panels, it was so much easier to actually get appointments with people. And whenever I basically lost hope with the company, I had to immediately find out why that was, and whether it was an actual concern or it's just something in my mind bugging me. And I had to convince myself every single time I had those thoughts creeping into me. I had to sell myself to myself first before I sold anything, because if I don't have conviction, I can't sell. I need to believe in a product. So that's what makes the best salespeople amazing, because they believe. Really fucking bad. And it also must be a win-win situation for both. So why do you think that, I don't understand, like, why do people think that it shouldn't be a win-win situation when you sell? Like, you're supposed to serve your customers with the product you're selling them because it's a better situation than they currently have. So I don't understand why people just want to make money and just fucking screw people over. I've seen people that have solar systems that don't even serve them quite well. And it's sad to see that they got taken advantage of because they didn't know. And that's really bad. Or tax services. I really don't know much about like what would happen afterwards, but that's why I had to learn more. Or marketing agency services, which is like, I'm going to charge you $2,000 right now, and then you're going to spend $1,000 in ad spend, and let's see if it works. And if it doesn't, you're fucking screwed. You are screwed. And you just spent $3,000 not getting anything in return. It sucks. But that's the definition of a scam. How are you going to charge people for something you don't know how to do? You're taking their money, which they expect a result. You don't give them anything. What's wrong with it? And then the next thing is, which doesn't really get me. If you don't think like this, then there's something wrong with the way that you're thinking, and it's gonna bite you in the ass later down the line. I've seen this happen. I've seen greedy people in sales. Like, there's greedy people everywhere. But I've seen a couple of people in sales. They sold to customers. They told them the earth and the sun. And then after I came into the door, they're mad at the company when I didn't even do anything. And they told me who sold them, and then the person's not even, we don't know where they are. Just do things correctly. Like, make it a win-win for both people, you and your customers. If you have that, you're gonna have customers who are gonna refer you, and that's the best way to make money. Serve people, make money. That's the way to go. And the next thing is going to be a little bit different, but it's going to be use what you got. Like Alex Ramosi said, use what you got. When I did door-to-door sales, I didn't have an iPad, testimonials, experience in closing, and a mentor. When I had started my agency, I had nothing. Only a fucking Miro board. Now that I think about it. Jesus, when I first started, but now I've structured everything, and yeah, like I said, I had nothing, but now everything is structured in its separate bucket of functions. So with the marketing agency that I'm trying to build, everything is bucketed into appointment setting, Everything is bucketed into closing, onboarding, service delivery. Everything is structured in a way where it's actually a system that could work, that works. I'm trying to build the system delivery side. I already built the onboarding, and I'm just trying to perfect the service delivery. So you gotta be able to use the stuff you currently have it at hand and make it work. Door-to-door sales, I had no fucking clue what I was doing. I saw people getting iPads and presenting on with homeowners. I had none of that. I had my broken iPhone. my iPhone was broken, full of memory, and screen, the, how do you call it? The camera lens was broken too. And and I also didn't have access to the software that makes you create how do you call it, system designs for solar. So what I decided to do for the iPad was that I just built my own folder, and this is the folder that I used to basically give people my presentation. And that basically taught me a lot of stuff. For my agency, when I first pitched it, I had nothing, like no clue, no way of getting clients, no way of closing clients, no way of setting how to onboard it. I had no clue. I had no clue how to basically run a Facebook ads. I'm still trying to figure that part out. But now I've got a way to get appointments. I know how to close people. I know how to onboard them, and I just gotta learn how to perfect my service so that I can start charging. But what I'm trying to say is that I had almost no money with door-to-door sales, and I still had to perform and try to make it work. And fuck me did I try. I tried a lot, man. I really did try to give it my best, and still failed, but it gave me a better shot than I did before. Testimonials, I literally got into people's houses and told them, hey miss, how's it going? My name is Brian. If you're okay with it, is it okay if I can use you as a testimonial to all the people in the neighborhood? I'm not going to post it on social media or anything like that. I'm going to use this as a testimonial. And if somebody over here in this neighborhood with my company changes to solar and gets their panels installed in the roof, I'm going to give you $500. All you got to do is record a video with me. And people did it. People recorded a video with me because they wanted something out of it, of course. So that's how I got my testimonials, and I got more bills and more appointments, and I gained more trust with people. And then experience in closing, I had to purchase a course to teach me how to do door-to-door. And it helped me a lot to get in people's houses by myself and actually build a good presentation, because I didn't really know how to do it. And I did it by trial and error. And a mentor, I literally just watch YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube, man. Just replacing mentors. Just being by myself. Trying to learn the stuff and bugging up, because I had no other way of learning how to do it. So yeah. And then which brings me to my next point, which is that don't lie. This is very important, because you got to be honest with people, especially in business. At the end of the day, when you lie to everyone, you can lie to everybody, but you can't really lie to yourself. And the only one who will know that you're lying is you. And then now you look like a moron and a liar who doesn't know what they're talking about. But when you're honest and straightforward, people will appreciate the sincerity because you come off as genuine. And I think honesty is the best policy when it comes to business, because when you show people something, it's got to be backed by something. For example, door to door, I had to do a lot of research and actually print it out and show it to people so that I could tell them that this is real. I'm not just scaring you right now. This is real. This is what's actually happening. Now, you would either want to take action or just stay as you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I'll still make the same amount of money. I'll still remain the same. You do what you think is best for you because you're the one who pays the bills. And our marketing agency services, like, I had to be straight up with people like, hey guys, I can't really run advertisements if I don't get the Facebook branding correctly first, because people need to click on the ad and make sure it's a legit company. And if the Facebook page is not optimized, it doesn't have anything, how are people going to trust the brand of the company? But honesty is the best policy and one of the best business practices you can do. And then the next thing I want to talk about, which is I see a lot of people not doing, is get to the fucking point. I've seen so many people who just go on big tangents and keep talking to the point that you just waste the prospect's time and your time, and then you end up going nowhere. Trust me on this. Just get to the point. Don't waste people's time. Like, it comes off as insincere when you beat around the bush because people know you want something from them. Like, if you contact somebody who you don't know, they're assuming you're a salesperson, that you want something from them. So just be genuinely, don't beat around the bush, just tell them, hey, this is what it is. I am here to sell you something, but this is what it is. Want to give me a shot, yes or no? This could help you. And sometimes they'll listen if they're interested in what you gotta say. And then once you tell them, they might be interested as to what you're trying to offer. But not every customer is going to be a sale, so just find the people that need it and are interested. And if not them, just move on. Like, I need to waste everyone's time if they don't need it. But just be to the point when you're talking to somebody. Don't beat around the bush or trying to say anything differently. It's just, you just gotta be genuine with what you're trying to say. That's one of the best things you can do. Because if you do, you'll find out that it's really cool to just talk with people and let them know that you're being genuine and getting to the point, which is not to waste your time, because it will come off as insincere. And then the next thing is that Goodwill Compounds. When you get more value than you get in return, there's something that happens when people see that what you got is valuable. They want to give back. Not everybody gives back, so the people who do will remember and they'll start sharing your stuff because it's good. I've had customers who loved my customer service and they told me they would recommend me to everybody they knew. That's real. I did door to door. That's what happened. That's how powerful it is. So do right by everyone and you won't see stuff biting you in the ass in the future. I was knocking doors once, and there was this man who, he already had a solar panel system. He was paying minimum $30 a month. So he was alright, like, didn't need panels. I went to his house, and he told me that he was still paying bills. And I told him that some situations what would happen is that sometimes people don't really put a lot of solar panels in your roof, which makes you still pay an electric bill. So he invited me over to take a look at his electric bill. He was like, okay, is there a way to actually make it zero or get credits? I'm like, okay, yeah, there could be a way. Let me see. So I took a look at his bill and noticed that it was already $30, which is the minimum that you can get, which is his system, which means that his system was at 100%. He didn't need more solar panels. In that case, I know that a lot of salesmen would have been like, let's just sell him more solar panels. Doesn't cost him anything out of pocket. Yeah, but he's already paying $30 a month on his electric bill, plus $80. That's $110. Why am I gonna put solar panels on his roof that are gonna cost him maybe $200 a month? And his credits are not going to build up that much. So I told him, if anybody comes here and tells you that you need more solar panels, Maybe if they can sell you like 4 panels or like 2 that cover the consumption for the $30, maybe. But my company only offers 8. If they offer you more panels than you need, watch out. Be careful. And once I cleared everything, he was like, wow. Because nobody had done that. Being a little bit clear. And yeah, from there I just, he told me that he could refer me. And I was like, cool. Pretty cool. And I've had a lot of cases where like, there was this lady, she was fixing like a camera, like a Google camera. And I was just walking, I'm like, maybe if I speak to her, maybe I can get a sale. And then as I spoke with her and I helped her out with like her camera, I was like, maybe I can speak to her like about the sale, like getting solar panels on the roof. But then the more I spoke to her, I realized that she wasn't really there. Like, she was really, I don't know, she was really sweet. I could have, but I didn't. So I realized that, okay, this lady is very agreeable to stuff. I don't think it's a good idea for me. It seems like I'm thinking I would be taking advantage of her, so I'm just not gonna do shit. So, and then from there, the same thing came in. She bought me food. She bought me food because I helped her, and it was pretty cool. But a lot of stuff like that happens when I did door-to-door, because Goodwill Compounds, it's reciprocity. You help somebody out, they give you something. They help you out. They give you water. They give you food. That's how it works. And then next thing that I want to say is, lesson, I guess, don't show all your cards at once. So it's happened to me before where I gave all the answers to a prospect and they just thank me and just move on. So of course you have to use it at your best ethical business practices, of course, but it depends on the situation. Let's say you're running ads for a business and converting leads into primed prospects, people ready to buy, which is primed prospects. You're not going to show the business how to do it because they are paying you for a service. And let's be honest, they won't learn anything in just one session unless they pay you to teach them. If they say, hey Brian, I want to do this in-house, can I pay you to teach me how to do it? I'm like, yeah, of course. But if they're like, Brian, I just don't have time for this, I'm just going to pay you for the service because you're already giving me results, then yeah. It depends. It depends what you're trying to do. Or you need clients for your agency, so in the closing you show them exactly how to fix their advertising, in which case you lose the sale and walk away with nothing. It just depends on the situation, but always be ethical in the way you do business because it can really come back and bite you in the ass, which is really true. You have to be really careful as to what you're doing in business. But when it comes to not showing all your cards, just the best way that I can say it is that what you're trying to do is that you're trying to get a hook out there. You're fishing. You throw hooks. And once people ask you and they seem interested, you reel them in. You reel them in little by little. Give them a little bit of value. Don't tell them everything. Just give them value. I got this. I got. Okay. And then once they're there, I see it as like a boxing. So a boxer, what happens is that every time somebody does a jab or tries to throw a punch, you gotta you gotta switch around. Just a metaphor. But in sales, but when people throw you objections, it's like a jab. You throw out, you move, another one. You move, and eventually, once you get to the closing port, you hit them with the uppercut, which is when you get them to say yes to what you're trying to sell. But that takes time, and it's a skill that requires a lot of effort and input, but eventually you can make it happen. So it just depends on the situation, but just don't show all your cards at once. So if you show them everything at once, they're just gonna walk away. That's what happens. And the next thing is that your paradigm can change. So, what do I mean by this? A paradigm is basically a lens in which you see the world. Oh snap. A paradigm is just basically a lens in which you see the world. Like, some people might think that aliens are real, or some people think that the earth is flat. Either one, what happens is that in each of those cases, they see the world through a certain lens. Let's say that my classes right now, I see business as a certain way because I've done it, I've experienced it. But somebody who doesn't have experience in business doesn't see anything. It's just like, I don't see anything. But your lens, the way you see the world, is malleable. When you change the lens, you change the way you think. When you change the way you think, you change your options. You change the way that you see different options or avenues that you may have. When you change the options that you have, you change decisions. So once you see the different options you have, you will be able to make decisions, different decisions. Once you're able to make your decisions, you change your actions. That's when you start acting. And once you change your actions, you start changing your life. And you gotta understand, it takes time and effort to make change. You just don't expect it to be quick. Don't expect to be a millionaire in like a year. It's probably not gonna happen. And you gotta understand that the way you change your life or your current situation is your fault and nobody else's fault. And you gotta take yourself out of it, no matter what. If you're making the money that you're making is your fault. If something happened to you, it's because you fucked up somehow or you did something. So you just gotta change it. Change the lens in which you see the world, which will eventually let you change your life. And then connect with high level people. I didn't write anything because I forgot it here. But with this one, it's like, what I've noticed that I've spoken to people who have like pretty high connections is that you gotta be valuable too. Like, in order to connect with high level people, you kind of have to be high level. And even if, like, for example, let's say that you've made no money, you don't know anything about business, and you get into the room and you can be connected with some of these high level individuals, what's going to happen? Probably nothing. Like, literally nothing. Nothing's going to happen. So in order to get to that point, when you talk to these high level people, they can smell the bullshit like miles away. They know who's who, and because game recognizes game. So the best thing would be to just focus on yourself, trying to get better at what you're trying to do, and eventually within time you get a seat at the table and you connect with these high level people. And networking is, I'm starting to understand that it's one of the biggest aspects in life. And try to give value to people as much as you can. Don't just take away every single time. And then the next thing is that, the next lesson is that nobody's coming to save you. Now this can quickly overwhelm you, or it can push you to surpass your limits. Whenever I had my lowest moments, me specifically, whether it was something that I didn't work, a breakup, or a situation that just didn't work in my favor, I always got pissed at my situation and decided to do something about it. But that anger only came after I realized that it was me who was the only one who could help me. An example of this is, I'm just going to summarize this in my own words without reading it. When I did door-to-door sales, kind of realized that nobody was going to help me out to get these sales. I was only going to get paid on commission. No salary. And I felt so much sadness and loneliness and all those feelings. But then I got pissed because it was just me, my phone, and my folder. And I got pissed because my current situation, so I had to do something about it. And if I had to knock more doors, I had to knock them. If I gotta reach more people, I'd do it. And that's how I really got rid of my fear of a lot of things. Because I realized that nobody was gonna come and knock these doors for me. Nobody was gonna be like, hey Brian, let me help you out. Nobody was gonna do that for me. And when I was supposed to be climbing up in rank for like a close self-gen position, which is like a closer position, they wouldn't let me because they thought I wasn't ready. But how the fuck was I supposed to be ready if they weren't telling me how to fucking do this shit? You know? So I got pissed in that essence because I was going to teach myself how to do it. If they weren't going to teach me, I'd teach myself how to do it. And I learned that all the situations that I've been at, it's just you, man. You gotta get yourself out of wherever you're doing or going through. If you're fat, you gotta lose weight. That's what I did. Like, just gotta do something about it. And you don't question it anymore. You just do it. And then, next point, lesson that I want to talk about is you gotta take everything with a grain of salt. You can't be super naive and assume that every person with authority has your best intentions at heart, or even the actual understanding of your situation. You're supposed to take in the good in people's advice and get rid of the bad. Like this video, for example, if you watched this far, god damn. Props to you. Probably this video wasn't even that interesting to most people, but if you got here, Jesus, wow, you've taken a look at my life that nobody else has been to. Now you know a little bit, now you know more about me. But even my video, just take the words that I say into a grain of salt too. Listen to what I say, think about it, and then think about what works. Think about what doesn't work, because I still got a lot to learn. I really do, but I can tell you the things that I've done. And that's what I will always do in this channel. I'll talk about all the stuff that I've tried and failed, and I'll talk about them because it is what it is. And then in business, you can't take in advice from the average person who's never done business. So you should listen to people who've done what you want to do and have the character traits that you would like to embody. Not the people who've never done what you want to do. And then next lesson that I learned is don't talk about stuff you haven't done. So the easiest way to look like a moron is to talk about stuff that you haven't really done. Like me, for example. I can't tell you how to make 100K a month. Oh, there's supposed to be like a month right here. With a business because I've never done it. I can't tell you how to make 20K a month with a business because I've never done it. I've never gotten to 10K a month. I can't tell you about that. But what I can tell you about is how to do door-to-door sales. The best approaches. How to do cold calling, because I've done it. Solar, because I've done it. Tax credits, because I've read about them and I've worked with tax credits. Facebook advertising, because I've moved around the platform. Onboarding, because I've onboarded clients. Business lessons, because I've done it for a year. Mindset shifts, because I've broken so many beliefs last year. I can tell you about those because I've done it. And I know within me that I'm not lying to myself about that. I can sit here and talk to anybody I know about this with comforting belief that I've done it. And I've done my best to do it the right way, that I think is right. Because I have the scars and the experience to prove it. I could talk about it. I have no issues with it. And I'm not going to talk about stuff that I don't know. And then the second thing is that people treat you the way you look. So most of the time people do treat you the way you look, because most of the time the outside gives you an idea as to what the inside is all about. Like, I've seen some really fat people. They look like shit, like some guys. And I'm like, this guy looks like a fucking loser. And then, lo and behold, when you talk with him, he is a fucking loser. Or I've seen some people that I'm like, I just don't trust them. And then you start talking with them, and then they reveal everything about who they are. And I know because I've talked to so many people in person. I've spoken with fat people, skinny people, black people, white people, Asian people, a lot of fucking people. And most of the time I could figure out a person by just looking at them. I got good at that because of how much I did door-to-door sales. I could identify when somebody was pissed at me, when somebody wanted me to be quick. I understood how to do that because of how many interactions I had. And then if you carry yourself in a certain way and you want people to treat you differently, then you gotta change yourself to look the part. When I did door-to-door, I always wore clean shirts, shaved beard, perfumed, washed my teeth, good presentation, verbal dexterity, tall, handsome, and strong. That's how I got into people's doors. And I've heard people tell me like, yes, because you look like a decent human being. You don't look like a fucking fat fucker who's just gonna steal my money. It's presentation, man. Like, you gotta look the part. And I didn't steal their money. It's just like, wow. They were right. And because of that, people let me in the house and gave me a shot. So it's just presentation, man. Like, how you present yourself. Like, when I walk into a room, that's what I do. I just stay quiet, and I just let people talk in the room so that I see who's who in this room. And once people talk, I get to figure out who's who, and kind of gives me a good idea as to what's going on in the room, where I'm at in the social hierarchy of the room. And it's pretty cool. But yeah, if you want people to treat you differently, you gotta change a lot about yourself. I used to be fat, but then I lost weight, and I got tall, and I got muscular, and people stopped fucking around with me. I got handsome, and now girls want to talk to me. Well, I gotta talk to them because they're kind of intimidated by me, but once I do talk to them, they're pretty open. So it's just, looks matter, man. They really do matter. And I don't want to talk about women, but I want to talk about business. And then the next thing is your voice is a powerful tool. Use it. I'm still trying to learn to get good at this, but most of the time when I speak, I just try to be concise and to the point to convey my ideas across to other people. For example, I know I use door-to-door system. I did a lot of door-to-door and I learned a lot. I sometimes had to scream or be loud so that people could hear me out. I literally had to scream sometimes across the freaking yard or like a house just to let somebody hear me out. Like, hey, I'm over here, you know? And it's always been like pretty cool. And I had to raise and lower my voice according to the situation that I found myself in. If I was like somebody far away, I would yell. If I was surrounded by like 5 people, I would raise my voice. If I was going to talk to everybody in a room, I wouldn't talk to you in the same voice that I'm talking to you right now. I would literally raise my voice, because you have to in order to get the people on the back to listen to you. That's how it works. And I had to teach myself how to express it with the sound of my voice. I had to learn how to raise my voice, lower my voice, learn the tonality, talk about the seriousness of the situation that's happening right now. It's important that you understand what is happening, because when I'm talking this slow, it means that I'm being serious as to what I'm gonna say to you. Like cats just jumped on the roof and they gave puppies a hug. You know? Stuff like that. Or like Did you? Oh yeah, and I just saw this guy who killed another guy in front of me. Oh yeah, and some guy just pulled the gun on me. You see the difference in the tonality? So that's why I had to learn. But then even still today, I struggle with this because I'm still learning how to do it, and I'll know I'll eventually get it right. Like even still right now, I gotta learn how to do it better. I don't think I'm that good, so I just gotta keep doing it and getting better at it. The next thing is that sell with emotion combined with logic. I've seen people who are really good at selling with emotions, but then when all of that is gone, like you have customers who end up saying, "What the fuck did I just do? I just bought this. What the fuck? That wasn't even that good." And since the logic makes no sense, and they realized it was like a win-win situation for both people. So just letting people know that, like, yeah, you literally have to sell in a way that entices emotion and logic at the same time, because if you sell with emote, it depends a lot of the times. But at the end of the day, it's only been my first year in sales. I don't know everything. Probably Alex Ramosi will tell you like a better understanding as to how it works. This is just the understanding that I got after a year. But think about it, Alex Ramosi has been at this for like a decade, more than me, and only been a year. So this is just what I got. Maybe it'll change in a year. You know, it happens. And then this comes more into work, but don't take part in gossip. This happened in sales a lot. I've seen it very much so happen that people like to take part in gossips a lot. And it never went well when you spoke badly about other people, because if you speak badly about a person and, well, you do it in front of other people, they're going to be like, okay, if he talks bad about that person, what does he say about me? You know? So whenever somebody wanted to talk gossip about somebody I knew, I would always say, whenever somebody wanted to talk bad about somebody, like if I was in a group setting and they were going to talk about gossip, I'd be like, oh, hey guys, I'll be right back. And I just walk away and never come back. And you don't need that negativity, because it doesn't really serve anybody. So just focus on yourself, do what you gotta do, and mind your business. You know, don't get involved into shit that you don't want to get to just because you want to hear it out, and you don't want to get all this bullshit in your head. And then give the person above you a level of respect. Whenever you're in front of, let's say, your boss or anybody who's in charge of something, there's got to be a level of respect going on. And you don't talk to them as if they were your friend, because they're not. So be respectful and show to the other person that the level of authority they have. Because if not, then you'll have to start looking for a new job very soon if you're not careful. But don't let people treat you badly either, because if you're being dickheads, just remember that you have the right to be treated as a human being. So whenever you're talking to somebody with authority, don't talk to them as if they were your friend. Be respectful, because most of the time, every employer who I've had can't say shit about me because I've never talked shit about them. I always mind my own business. I stayed quiet, didn't take part in gossip, didn't talk about people badly. I didn't want to get into shit that I didn't want to get myself into and make shit awkward. And I learned this the hard way because, yeah, the first time I didn't know. Now I know, and I'm never going to do that again. I don't talk shit about anybody. Doesn't matter who it is. I don't care. I'm going to be respectful, and I'm going to mind my own business. Because that's all I can really do. I don't care what shit people get themselves into. I'm just going to mind my own business and do the right thing. Next lesson would be to take baby steps if you need to. You don't have to be a millionaire in a year. You can fucking make $1 million in like shitcoin, NFTs and all that shit. You will see all kinds of things online of people being super successful, and them making big amounts of money in months. but there's a reason for it, and you're missing something really important. Context. Nothing happens just because. You don't know what happened to get that amount of money. If somebody's making more money than you, it is because you have not yet understood the game of business. You haven't understood something which has not led you to make money in business. And it doesn't matter how much time it takes you to figure it out. If you know that it'll eventually happen, then why take a look at other people? Like, if you know you're making progress, why focus on everybody else? Just focus on you. Do what you gotta do. And then focus on you and your progress. It might take you longer. It might take you shorter. I don't know. Some people are just lucky. It doesn't matter. It'll eventually happen. So take one step at a time and build yourself up. So when it does happen, you are ready to make that next step. That is all I got to say about that. You don't have to rush if you don't have to, based on your current situation. You got to understand what your current situation is and make changes accordingly. And build yourself up little by little. And then next part, which is like I have a big, I don't know, this is what I believe. Don't charge people for something you don't know how to do just yet. Why do people have this understanding that they think they deserve to be paid for something that they don't know how to do? I've heard people say charge your worth. Don't sell yourself short. If you're the new guy, charge for what it is. But then you see a lot of people who charge $1,000, $2,000, $6,000, or even $10,000 for a product or service that is worth zero, dog shit. Why not work on percentage? Work for free. And build the thing to the point that it is so good that you can charge a higher price for it. Because it will sell itself. And you end up making more money because of it. At the beginning, you don't deserve shit. Jack shit. I don't see why people like love yourself, all this fucking bullshit. Some of the times you can't love yourself. If you're a fat fuck who it doesn't really work out, hate yourself a little bit. You have to. Because if you think you're right, you're not going to change for the better. Sometimes you got to take a look at yourself with like actually in the mirror as to who you are. Because then you can actually consider making a change. If you don't know how to do something, you can't expect to charge a lot of money for it. You haven't earned the right to charge. So eat shit, focus on building the thing, and then get paid for it. That's just my vision on the world. I don't know if it's right, but I think it's the correct way to do it. It's the best way to do it. And then the next lesson is like, we're almost done. Do right by everybody. Don't screw people over. You'll end up with more headaches and a bad reputation that you can't possibly think about. If you have the ability to help someone out or give them some advice that could benefit them, help them out. Because people do need help. And most of the time you have the answer to a problem that you've solved that other people haven't. So help them out. It feels incredibly fulfilling to your soul to help a person to move on to a better situation. It does, man. It really does. Door to door, I guess I did a lot of things that I didn't have to do them. But I did them because some people needed help. I gave advice to some people as to how to look into solar. I helped some people out to get their cameras set up. It wasn't big changes in their lives. It was just little gestures. But it always felt like the right thing to do. And then the next thing is to take measured risks according to your situation. You should only take advice from people who want the best, who have your best interest at heart and know your exact situation. And most of the time it'll be you in those situations. So listen to the advice out there and make decisions accordingly. Don't listen to everybody and monkey see, monkey do. Actually sit down and think about your situation and listen to the advice from people who are ahead of you on what you want to do. Eventually, once you've been in your own head, you'll figure out what to do and you start making better decisions because you're actually thinking for yourself. I'm not going to do everything that my parents tell me to do, but I'll think about it. And once I've given myself enough time to think, I can make a pretty good decision as to what I'm going to do with my life. Because at the end of the day, I'm the only person who has context, complete and utter context, who's looking for my better interests and knows exactly what I want. The only person who knows that, it's me. Just listen and make your decision accordingly. And then, last but not least, don't ask retarded questions. Actually think about what you're going to say before you speak. Especially when you're in front of a person who is very successful. Don't waste time on dumb questions you can't answer for yourself by just going on fucking Google. Your questions can be meaningful and with a purpose to the ongoing conversation. Just don't be stupid and be smart with the words you're going to use. And that's it. It was an hour and 11 minutes long video. But this is something I wanted to cover. I didn't do it for any other reason than for me to record a journey, because I'm still gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep recording my journey, lessons that I've learned. And one thing that I really didn't talk about is that with the skill that I have of doing door-to-door sales, I went personally to a company and I met the vice presidents of the company. From there, I met his closers. And then from there, I met the owner. And then his secretary. And now they're onboarded as a client of mine for my marketing agency services. But I couldn't have done that if I didn't go through all this fucking shit that I just told you. Like there's no other way to say it, but I still got a long way to go. I don't know what's gonna happen next year, but I'm gonna look back on this video and see everything that I learned this year. So yeah, that's the main lessons that I think I learned in 2023. See what happens, this next year. I am really thankful for everything that I've lived through this year, whether it was business, love, relationships, sadness, anger, frustration, disillusion. I lived through a lot this year. I wouldn't change it for a thing. I hope this year is a little bit different. So yeah, Brian, if you're watching this in the future, I love you, bro. I did all this shit for you. So yeah, peace.